I'll jump right in. My name's Jeff Tenery. I'm the Senior Vice President of Global Monetization, very long, fancy word for going out. And one of the things that Millennial does, we combine two parts of the world. One is getting advertisers, brand advertisers, Coke, Pepsi, Southwest Airlines, all the folks that you know and love that you see on TV and other types of brand medium. And we actually marry that with what we call inventory, and really global monetization is a fancy word for me going out and our team going out and getting folks like Major League Baseball, Pandora, Rovio's, Angry Birds, all the places that you spend time on either a phone or a tablet, and we serve ads in there. We serve a whole bunch of different types of ads, and I'll describe that to you. And hopefully what I'll try to do is cater a little bit to what, learning a little bit about your businesses. And again, you guys have some of it's like more enterprise oriented. This is very much a consumer oriented type of business, but hopefully you'll get some correlations and other things that we do that might spark some creative ideas. So do we have somebody kind of driving the, I'll move it over here with me. So I guess it's, well, first and foremost, I heard web a couple different times here, and you guys are kind of focusing on the web, which is great. We're a little biased. We're 100% mobile, Millennial Media. And so this first one is, there are 7 billion people in the world, and you'll see some stats in a little bit. Mobile devices are everywhere. So what I would encourage you as entrepreneurs and folks that are looking at visioning your business is you really almost have to look at the mobile device and actually maybe even rethink some of your business models around how do I display on a tablet or a mobile device. But the fact of the matter is there are a ton, billions of devices in the market. And this next slide here, actually, it's another one part of a different piece of this section. The connected device is always on, and it's always with you. And depending on the target markets of what you're trying to target to get the consumers, and in this case, maybe enterprises doing business with you, you have to understand that mobile is probably one of the most powerful mediums. And the slide I was hoping was on this next piece here really talks about the fact that mobile is growing faster than the PC. In fact, the PC statistics show a very flatline growth for PC adoption over the next 5 years, where mobile growth is exponentially growing and really will mirror the world's population of 7 billion. There'll be 7 billion devices in marketplace when you add tablets and mobile devices together. The speeds of the networks, the fact that it has very distinct utilities, and again, you guys all have a mobile phone or a smartphone with you. You guys know how you use it today. Some people using it in vastly different ways, and that's why, again, without getting into too much details around what your companies do, think about mobile even beyond just what you think about as a smartphone device now. There's like telematics, and there's ways for new chips and new transceivers to be baked into maybe some of the products and services that you're using that are going to proliferate quite extensively through the next 5 years. The way we kind of present mobile for Millennial Media is the more time is spent than any other medium, hands down. So the app economy. How many of you guys have smartphones here? I assume that everybody here has smartphones. How many applications would you say you have on your phone? Probably hundreds, right? So again, if you're not thinking about, and I say this to you again, not to be offensive or insult, is that a lot of folks are coming at this from kind of a digital world and kind of going at it from that vantage point. What I would encourage you to do is look at mobile and kind of work maybe off of the mobile device, actually back out. Your business is a little bit more tied to smartphones specifically, but whether it be healthcare, real estate, architecture, kind of working that backwards. Our expertise and what Millennial does is we basically mirror those two worlds. We take an advertiser, we take it with a publisher or a developer, we bring the two together. But really the big piece of our business is how do we extract great data? And the way we do that today is we have what's called a software development kit, a piece of code that goes inside of an application or on a mobile website. And what that does, it allows us, again with the permission of our partners, to basically see the types of things that people are doing on their mobile phone. Tells us a lot about what carrier that they're operating on, tells us a lot what country they happen to be traveling in. Location data is absolutely the #1 differentiator of why mobile, which again is obvious, it's mobile, it's transferring with you where you go. But that mobile device actually takes you into a whole different realm of analytics. Again, what I did here is a common theme between really all the businesses here is you guys actually collecting and building data warehouses and databases. How do you take mobile analytics and how do you bring that back and Mobile advertising is a great vehicle to do that. We help a lot of companies by telling them what their users are doing, how they're behaving when they're engaging with an application or a mobile web, and specifically to advertisers. We have over 400 million uniques that we see on our platform, so it's a whole lot of data. We know what people are doing, not only in the United States, which is about 160 million of that, but also we see it across 7,000 devices. We see it in some of these numbers are a little bit dated. We've got over 40,000 applications and mobile websites. We see billions of what's called a page view or an impression, so we're seeing them quite often. And we work with the top advertisers in the world, so we know what Coke, Pepsi, Nike, Southwest Airlines, all the big brands that are out there, we know how they want to reach the end users. How many of you guys have what you feel like a location-based product service that's going to location would be a critical part of what yours clearly had, because you're talking about taking the mobile device and kind of blowing up the screen and making it available to a certain segment. But how many of you guys are looking at location right now and how maybe location fits on yours, like architecture in construction that's happening maybe along the lines of how that location works? And so again, mobile analytics and the data that what you're warehousing is very, very valuable to a company like ours. We work with most of our publishing partners, a Pandora, a Rovio, Angry Birds. Think about some of your favorite apps that you have on. What's your favorite app that you have on your phone right there? What do you play the most? What game do you play the most?
I actually don't. What I surprisingly like the most on this app is Google Plus.
Okay.
I've actually seen it. I think that's the cleanest, best app I've actually
Okay.
seen. I don't like the web Google Plus.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anybody have what's your favorite app that you have on your phone, or even your tablet there?
Gosh, I work so much. I don't do anything like.
You guys are so knee deep in there. Like, what are you doing playing games? There are a lot of games. Obviously, it's a lot of eyeballs to us in the advertising world. So we like games because a lot of folks are spending a lot of time in it. They're engaging it, whether it be a train station, airport, different locations. But my point to you, kind of bringing it back to what's important for you as entrepreneurs, is how do you reach whoever it is you're going to reach? And a lot of times you may, if you're just thinking, and I'm pointing to you because I heard more web in your product than the rest of the group, is how do you get to the right person at the right time? And mobile is really the only way for you to do that, which is giving us at Millennial a really great opportunity to compete against Google and Apple and other folks, because we understand better than anyone in the industry on how to get to the consumer at the right time. You see that as kind of a retail offering. So this is just a slide to say, hey, as you're planning your business right now, are you going to use an application? Are you going to build a mobile website or a mobile-enabled website? Those two things you should think about how you can incorporate advertising. And you say, well, Jeff, I don't plan on offering up a Nike ad or a Pepsi ad to a consumer, because my consumer isn't that place to be. But I think if all of you have at the Element some sort of platform that you're pulling in this data about users, whether it be an architect or a construction worker or the healthcare industry, whoever that enterprise or user is, you should still think about advertising. And you say, why, Jeff? Because I'll never put advertising in there. Because even advertising, Nike, Coke, Pepsi, will never be relevant to your end user. You may have other products and services that you may want to promote within an application or within a mobile website, even if it is an enterprise. So even having, and you say, well, wait a minute, Jeff, what does that mean? It's like, well, you might have other sub-products and other types of cross-promotional things that you do. You don't have to ever run anything that's a consumer advertising. You could just have messaging that's available to you that might have your consumer. It could be just using an advertising medium within a particular app or mobile website that instructs your users how to use your product better or your service better. So I encourage you, as you build, or at least think to build out, what your mobile strategy needs to be. Think about it before you actually go into the construction phase of building an app or building a mobile website and going mobile. And this is kind of a little bit more, as I've kind of, you guys can see the theme of Millennial is, we are a more consumer-focused platform, competing with Apple, competing with Google and big media companies for advertising partnerships. Just kind of going through it again, how many of you guys have any consumer, retail-oriented customers that you guys are building your companies around? Probably not. I mean, this probably doesn't feel. Or maybe yours a little bit, where you can take, I don't know, yours was like healthcare.
Yeah.
So you might want to like, hey, listen, I can put pharma, I can go out and call on pharma or medical supply companies and actually have them come in and offer up advertising within your application and your audience of users. I was thinking of yours a little bit on the architecture side as you were saying it. There's like, hey, there's a lot of Home Depot dollars and there's a lot of Lowe's dollars. There's a lot of like maybe that might be tied to the building or the construction or the architecting.
To give an example, like you know, it's for doing a site survey, so you're going out on site and getting an assessment of what's out there. And we'd already, you know, thought about the ideas of integrating with certain partners that would be able to put their goods or services in there and be able to drop those into the floor plan or whatever, you know, and
Okay.
sort of present that to the client or to whoever, you know, so there's possible ways to connect that.
There, absolutely. And so, you know, really putting aside whether we have, you know, big brand advertisers or we have big, cool publishing partners that we actually put the ads on, just peel all that back for a second and just say, what's going to be your relationship with you, whoever your end user customer will be, and how is mobile going to give you an opportunity to interact with it? And maybe as you kind of look at my presentation's kind of skewed towards, you know, more of a retail consumer focus of what we do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys can't look at like, how do I use mobile to extract data from my partnerships and communicate and use it as a communication tool, because the one thing for sure, no matter what your business is, you're going to need some form of mobile communications and interaction to go, because that's where your customers, no matter what, whether it be an enterprise solution or, you know, a healthcare solution or a construction, you know, you guys have an opportunity to have that one-to-one relationship with somebody who at the end of the day will make a decision off of a mobile device on whether they do or don't do business or they consume your information that you're trying to get to them. So, you know, from what our business is these are just some examples over here, the types of ads that we work with. We do a ton of business in the entertainment business, entertainment being studios. What better way to get to a mobile user than, you know, you're out on a Friday or Saturday night. A lot of these studios want to go ahead and buy advertising on Friday and Saturday night because that's when you're typically going to go to the movies, and then location-based target you somewhere around a Lowe's theater, a Regal Cinema, or an AMC theater to get that message out so that you can go see, you know, a movie release. We do a ton of business on what's called tune-in in the entertainment industry, which is, you know, people want you to tune into The Walking Dead. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. Anybody Walking Dead fans? So you want to tune into what's happening with the governor, and there's different. We get a ton of dollars coming in to get you on your phone, because a lot of times people are using the mobile device as a second or third device when they're in home to get you to tune into that particular show. So these are some of the executions where we're using either location, and then also too, we build audiences, and I'm kind of jumping ahead with the data that we collect from users, and that's collected with things like age, gender, location, household income, ethnicity. All of our publishing partners share that information with us, and we warehouse that. And then we're able to say, hey, listen, we're going to put you in a horror show, a horror audience. So we put you in this horror audience. And so when there's a Walking Dead, you know, finale type of promotion that we're trying to drive in a campaign, we know we'll send that advertising to you. We'll also store that so that maybe when the next studio release of the Evil Dead 752, because it seems like there are always ones coming out, I want to be able to put that audience together so that I can advertise that as well. Just kind of getting through. You know, the other thing that we do exceptionally well is there's three types of advertising that we put in front of people. So all of you, you know, have smartphones. You've probably run into an ad or two when you guys are going and using different news sites, sports, whatever you guys fancy. We do display banner ads. You see those ads that are typically, you know, run at the bottom or the top of a phone and device. We're very, very strong in that, but there's some good money in making that from an advertising. The real big opportunity and really where the growth is now is what's called rich media and what's video. So being able to run movie trailers, being able to move to show really cool executions where the screen itself is becoming animated and it's able to do something that's very memorable from a brand advertising perspective. So in our world, we kind of started out back in like 2006, 2007, where we were just trying to get something in front of you that was a banner ad. Now the world is really starting to progress where we're doing very cool things on the device to take advantage of the phones themselves, which have become even more and more advanced with you know, different things that you can do, and obviously take advantage of, especially the iPhone, where you can do some really cool executions. So a little bit there. Again, I'm trying to get to, here's like execution where you can come in. So many people love popping different types of bubble blaster types of games, but this plays on the same genre where essentially Weston wanted to do rich media, basically pop the balloons so that you can actually get to the ad itself, and then you could always X out and get to the content that you're dealing with. But that's where, video. We do a ton of business in the automotive industry, so. We spent time with GM last week in Detroit, where they're looking very much at how do I get interactive video to be a part of showcasing all the great new cars that are coming out. Their OnStar service is another big part of their plans. But the idea of using video and being able to show things that you typically see in an online world, typically see in a broadcast world, for us, we've taken all of that and brought it to the mobile device, and we do really an exceptional job of taking very cool creative and matching it with the data that we're getting on the users. I'm trying again, knowing, it's one of those things when you get a presentation like this that's kind of a little bit off from what you guys are looking to do. Let me stop for a moment and let you guys ask some questions that maybe I can go a little bit more relevant to what we do, or maybe some offshoots to what we do that might be of interest to what you guys are doing.
I'm thinking like, since I guess I'm doing healthcare IT, so I may push ads to my potential users because I'm selling to potential individuals. But I'm thinking, will that turn them off from, like, distract them from focusing on whatever we do? Do you think there's a potential?
Without knowing kind of the utility of what your application or your mobile website might do, I think that all comes down to targeting. And companies like ours, making sure that when you do exchange, look or make an ad call to try to get an ad into the content that you're dealing with, that it's properly targeted, right? So it's like anything else. We don't see an annoyance factor when we do a good job of targeting against the audience that we're working with. So depending on the types of product, services, or whatever we're advertising, it's really going to be important for you to kind of sit down and work with a company like Millennial, and so we understand the audience, and we know that we're not going to serve a car ad to somebody who is not in the market for a car, or we quite frequently we have a lot of youth users, right? So somebody who's between the ages of 12 and 18, or even 12 and 15, right? If we know that they're in that age range that's above 12, should I be even advertising a car ad to them? So like making sure that the ad is very relevant and that you have a good exchange of the type of demographic or information you have about the user gets shared anonymously, and with, of course, the permissions of the end user. You guys pass that along. We can create a much richer experience of what should be shown, what type of placement you put in, when do you serve the ad. These are all things that kind of go in advertising, of making sure you're not hitting them with the wrong ad, wrong place at an annoying point of the user experience that could cause them to lose faith in your product or service. But you had a question as well?
Yeah, I think maybe I was thinking more about something more, remember that little paperclip in Windows, I guess, when you were using Microsoft
Yeah.
Office or Office or something. If I was to do something that would save me a lot of money and having like a sales rep go out to the site and integrate, certain functionality to tell you about certain features as a person wants to start to use them.
Yep.
Do you all do things like that? It seems like you're going to pull the same sort of data as you would from like an analytics. Is that something that Millennial does?
When you say, like, in this case, you would hire a direct salesperson, go out and sell advertising on the content, like in this case, your site or your user.
So you were kind of mentioning like selling or marketing or advertising like your own features within products.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say if when somebody was using my app and when they were using it in a certain fashion or in a certain place, like where the network went down, I would
Yeah.
want a little pop-up to come up and say, did you know this feature was here or something? Is
Yeah.
that something that you all do in advertising?
What we do is we would have kind of the mechanics and the plumbing for you to be able to do that. So like Millennial, you could sign up. When you sign up with Millennial, there's no cost to do so. There's no fee. There's no SaaS. It's just basically you can sign up, load some code and software that we provide called an SDK, and then you can run those types of ads when you want to be like, oh no, our network's down or something's wrong. Let's go ahead and send this message up. You can load that up as if it's the same kind of cool ad that you see here, and be able to load that up and say, hey, click here to get to this landing page. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to get through this particular issue. So you can you think about it even like emergency services, and like there's a lot of different applications that don't need to be consumer retail oriented, Although you can supplement that from a revenue perspective when maybe you feel like the user experience would warrant that, right? Because you have that.
I
So
was gonna follow on that question is like taking it a step further is, you know, with the SDK, can you connect that to certain things? And this kind of ties into another question I had, but let's say, for instance, and this might be relevant to you, Jared, like, let's say they're on site and they're making notes about hardware, like certain doorknobs or electronic hinges for
picture with a note, yeah.
Or key and certain brands could be popped up, you know, at that point.
Of course,
or,
absolutely.
populated with that. And to take it kind of a step further, I noticed the trend that you were showing there, where you know it's changing from just banner ads and relative banner ads to using location as your big differentiator.
Yep.
I know Paul echoed that. I saw him speak the other day at the tech breakfast, and I really believe that it's like huge. I mean, and where do you see the technology going for location on an overall basis? Is it I know it's getting tighter, like more micro.
Yeah, we call hyper. Yeah, hyper.
So like you're in a grocery store and you're in the aisle
Mhm.
buying soup, and like you're getting ads for soup because it knows you're right next to the soup.
And that's at, and by the way, we're not there yet because there's just not enough of that education because mobile's still new, but the technology is getting better and better. So while hyper location, which is something that we do, we take it down to lat long level, which gives you the opportunity. It's very much part of the execution plan of what we do. Like, and I won't say the names because I know we're being recorded here, but think about your your certain department stores or retail stores wanting to poach and try to get consumers to leave one store and go to another store. I mean, that is happening because of the hyper location targeting capability that we have, where we're able to take that lat long and be able to drill it right down. So where you could move and serve a different ad to say, hey, you're in store X, I'm store Y, please come on over here, we'll do it. Because like showrooming is the other kind of really neat phenomenon that you guys have heard of, where people are basically using their mobile devices and going into stores, and they're using it to showroom or check it out, and then they're buying it elsewhere online where they can get better pricing. And so like that whole phenomenon of like hyper location, the capabilities of doing that today are here today. I think the awareness of advertisers knowing that they can do that is very much still part of the the learning curve.
Now, like you can get down to like
Absolutely.
micro geo.
Yeah, but like anything else too, like a good example would be, good luck doing that really accurately today in New York, which is really hard because you have 65 floors of, when you think about lat long and stuff like that you're dealing with. So it is not perfect, especially in very dense cities where you have so many things in one kind of cluster. So it's not, and part of it is going to be the networks need to get better, and everybody, 4G and the next, level of LTE and the speeds of the network. That's all going to play a role in it. But right now, very much so, construction sites, of knowing where somebody's on a construction site and maybe serving up a certain, that project has this type of need versus maybe another project having a different type of need to serve up a message or an advertisement.
Is that something that's included in the current SDK, or is that like for the future?
No, we absolutely, in our current SDK today, we have what we call hyper local targeting capabilities, which is lat long. Now it's all predicated on the partners, which the part of the house that I manage for Millennial is the relationships we have with the content providers, the application developers, the publishers, your news, sports, weather, all the places that you go to on your phone. They need to pass us with consumer permissions, that location permission to send it. So that's why a lot of times when you download an app, you'll see, will you allow me to chart your location, or do I have permission to use your location? How many of you guys hit yes on that when it comes up on the app? Do you guys get a little spooked by it? I mean, do you get a little scared by it? I personally, again, because I'm in the business, I know it's an anonymous, charting of it, and I don't mind because I'm in the business, but I don't mind being served up a relevant local ad.
What percentage of people do that?
That accept it. It's all generational and it's all age. So you would see, and the name of our company was really born out of the millennial generation. So if you see a sub 30 set, very, very high percentage of allowance, you get 50 plus. It's a different percentage. Obviously, it gets less and less as you get older. But the younger generation, which is obviously flooding the mobile market, and if you look at the amount of smartphones in the 50 plus versus 30 under, obviously very much proportionally swung towards the 30 under. So it's far more permissions in that age range than it is above. But that's curious to say, like, nobody, you guys always hit the don't allow. It's okay if you do. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Yeah, most of the time I just shoot unless it's like productivity
Sure.
But if the ad really doesn't sound like it's location,
Well, how-
why would I tell you?
Right, but how eerie online do you have in a cookies environment where you go in and you just go or surfing, and then next thing you know, on Facebook, on Google Plus, on all places, you're getting those ads. They're like, wow, I was looking for a Chevy Suburban, and I'm seeing a lot of Chevy Suburban ads right now, because I went to the Chevy site. So that happens to be something I just went through. But that location tracking is eerie, and it feels weird to some. But and generationally speaking, the younger generations absolutely don't have an issue and don't have as big an issue or fear of that, because it is, I will say, it's protected, anonymously, and especially by companies like Millennial, which we take privacy very, very seriously, and we're not interested in personal information. We don't accept any of that type of what we call PII data. We really are looking for age, gender, location, and then really triangulating all that information. In fact, one of the, I don't know if it's in this later slide, but this is kind of maybe going to how you guys think about warehousing your data. We have 4 key kind of areas that we create a graph around how we target and how we build audiences. The first is like this interest graph. What are your the topics and the influencers of what you're grabbing? Like what kind of content are you consuming? Are you on a shopping application? Are you on a sports web page? It's taking some of that information. Looking at your social graph, are you Twitter? Are you Facebook? Are you LinkedIn? Where are you at in your social media consumption? Because we get a chance to see that again on the device. That's being shared. The key here is the location, the time, and graph, or place and time. Is that if I see you every single Monday at BWI Airport, and then I see you every Friday at BWI Airport, you clearly, and then other places in between, I could put you in a travel set. Auto intenders, if I see you on a car lot, which I can do because of lat-long capabilities, I know that you're on a car lot, 2 times, over the last, week, that I might put you in an auto intenders that you might be out shopping for a car. I also do that because I saw you on Cars.com and Edmunds and maybe other types of publishing content that's available. You might have tweeted about it. You might have put something where you liked a Chevy, Facebook page, or made some sort of comment within a social means. And then the mobile device itself also gives us very important data. Are you iPhone and Android user, or a BlackBerry or a Windows 7 user? This also gives us things like country and IDs that are associated with countries and with carriers. There's a lot of carrier targeting. People want to know that you're a Verizon user, maybe more so than a Metro PCS user. And so there's lots of different ways to take all 4 of these items, put them together. And this is what our secret sauce is. This is what Millennials worked 7 years, started around the corner here in this building, building these types of profiles where we know this about you anonymously with your permission, and we're able to kind of put this into different audiences. And that's, I think, the next slide. Or this is another place to say, hey, the location is really, really important, because I'm going to track you from when you go to the coffee shop, when you're shopping for books, when you're moving maybe back to the office, all different points in time of what you do during a day. And mobile's the only medium for you to be able to do that, right? So again, this kind of goes back to, if you weren't thinking about mobile, and if you are interested in kind of extracting important information and building data warehouse and CRM yourself, it's important for you to use mobile as a way for you to gather that data. And in this case, for Millennial, this is really the integral part of how we go to an advertiser and say, you buyer at Pepsi, here's why it's important for you, because we know basically the best time of day and the best place to be delivering this ad to you. And then we know the type of user based on these types of things, because the type of audience I might put you in. If you're moving and you're always at a school location at 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a couple different audiences based upon, again, the other relevance graph items that we look at to see whether maybe you're a student or a mom or a dad spending time at the school, or a teacher. So there's different ways, and we have over 150, I don't know if that's, yeah, I don't have it in this deck, I'm sorry, but we have over 150 audiences. Things like the travel audience, the auto intender audience, a mom's audience, a student's audience, different things that we know that are very relevant to the type of brand advertisers are saying, this is what I want to, the foodie, because we know that they're absorbing a lot of food content, but also they're also showing up at various different locations. At Olive Garden versus an Outback Steakhouse versus a Carrabba's, whatever, pick your, these are the types of guys that are coming into marketing and want to spend money with Millennial, so that they can know this about users and be able to use mobile as a way to reach those end users. This is just a slide that we use. This is the type of ads these are the places that we go out and get the ad space or the real estate within a particular application or mobile website. So these are probably the ones that maybe you're using or frequenting on mobile web or downloading onto your device. So Millennial, we have one of the most robust and diverse portfolios. It's 40,000 applications, tons and tons of opportunities to both deliver a great ad and also to have consumer data that's permitted to be able to be shared with us, to be able to pull that back into the platform so we can make the platform better and better each time. So other questions? How about on this side? I know you guys, was that my last slide maybe? Maybe. Nope, it isn't. Whoa, where am I going? Took a while, sorry. That just gives us a little snapshot of us about the company where we sit. We sit right between Apple and Google, which is pretty, if you think about your competitive landscape on where, you're building this product, obviously to be a disruptor. We entered this market to really disrupt a couple things. One, we wanted to disrupt Google. We came in right from day one and said, hey, we want to compete with Google, which is some people think is kind of nutty, but through the years we've done quite well. So we sit right between those two very large behemoth companies. But I'll be honest with you, every day we think mobile, and we're very nimble and stealth, where they have other business units and items that they have to worry about. And we work quite extensively at times with the same very large partners. And so in an emerging market like mobile advertising, it's played out very, very well for us. But I think that's all the slideware. I think that'll be kind of relevant for this conversation. Just to make it more interactive, what are some things now that I've sat here and in some cases you'd be like, hey, listen, that just doesn't fit what I'm, or it doesn't feel like that has a lot of value to what you do. And not that we're here to try to sell you on what, using Millennial, but hopefully I'm stimulating some thoughts around, if anything, I hope I'm leaving you with the importance of mobile. Hopefully I'm leaving you with the, if I'm looking to warehouse data about end users, there's a lot of different ways to use mobile data that can maybe be really helpful for you as you build your product and service out. And, hopefully you learned a little bit more about what, you probably heard that really cool company from Baltimore. What the heck do they do? What is it, now hopefully you're a little bit more educated on what we do. It's not a terribly difficult model to follow. We basically sit between an advertiser and a publisher, and we deliver really cool ads to the content you have on your device. We see the device as being much different than a tablet or a smartphone. It's going to be TV here shortly too. Smart TVs are going to start to really proliferate, and also the things even though it's kind of cheesy, it's like the ovens, the refrigerators, the devices that might be baked into a car, for device. There's a whole bunch of different places. Anywhere you can put a display, which I think, your business sounds like it's got a display element to it, is going to very much, I think, have a wonderful opportunity for you to consider advertising. Yours is very interesting as well, and yours as well, obviously, because you guys have very niche, or at least what you guys are going after, the building or the architect world or the healthcare, where you can either use it for your own benefit to how you market and communicate to your end users, but also another supplemental way to make money, because advertisers love your two segments, right? And not knowing who maybe your end user, whatever your segment is, it definitely has somebody who wants to reach it. They could be a techie, they could be a finance, person. There's somebody who wants to reach that segment. So there are a lot of dollars there, and we're one of the places that are driving that. So, yes.
So my understanding is that once we put the SDK into our application, say it's a PC application, as long as the internet connection, as the user uses their computers, you can collect anonymously what the user preference.
Yeah. Now it's strictly mobile for us, so it's not a PC or a web-based tool. So we're 100% mobile. We purposely stayed away from the online piece, although we have a lot of online, people who came out of that industry and DNA. We definitely are a mobily focused company. So now that doesn't mean that you get to, just by putting SDK, all of a sudden you're pulling in all the analytics for yourself. it has to be done in conjunction, at least using our platform, in conjunction with serving some form of ads. But you can't, the plumbing there for you to be able to serve messages up is there, to be able to construct your own ads or communications. But actually the data of what you extract from the end user, that's not really what Millennial does. But there are companies that you can use, and be more than happy to, afterwards you can get my email. I'm more than happy to kind of, ours is really done in conjunction with, you can have that in conjunction with delivery of advertising or messaging.
So, ad revenue is part of our revenue model.
Okay.
One of the things that I just thought about, the location would be important because we serve a graduate student population. That's our audience, and generally, housing generate a lot of income on providing housing.
Of course. I mean, think about the location-based advertisers who are like, you're thinking about housing for a grad student, which is always very difficult because you're going to like a school you didn't maybe spend your first 4 years at, and you're going, bam, like, you know what, the local places that want you to come spend money, local dollars coming in is the other thing that hasn't really overwhelmed the mobile market yet, but it's part of all the projections you see when people say mobile advertising is going to be billions and billions of dollars a year. A lot of those local dollars, because the local mom and pop guy that wants you to come in and he doesn't know how to buy advertising. We have a self-serve platform where more and more advertisers are finding out a very easy way to go, hey, I'm Joe's Pizza and I want to be able to advertise to all the incoming new grad students that are coming into the University of Virginia. How do I get to that user? That should be a part of, like, how do you insert yourself into that revenue stream so you guys get a cut of that? You would be acting as a publisher. You'd be acting like the New York Times here or Pandora. You'd be acting as them, and people like Millennial will come to you and say, give me the real estate within your app that you have there or your mobile website, and let me insert my code there so I can deliver really cool ads to that and help you be able to deliver that and help you build, a platform where you can do that on your own. You can learn. You can have all your same learnings. I won't CRM maybe all the things that you guys want to know about that grad student. That's going to be part of your social media graph. But you can share the pieces with me on the ad call that actually make it very relevant for me to be able to deliver the best, in which namingly location will be the most important piece.
So I was thinking, so grad students, they're not looking for housing during the week, they're on the weekend, and they're out. So if they're looking, imagine we could easily, you're in this neighborhood, there's 5 different.
You get all those apartment complexes and everything hitting you at once.
So we could sell.
And you know what? That's a nice combination because companies like Zillow that have just recently gone public, and Trulia, which, those guys have made, done a really nice job of localizing for realtors to be able to get to, home buyers and such. You guys are, thinking about that same model in those companies might be interesting on how do you get that real estate, apartment, companies to get to that housing, to that grad student. You guys sit between there almost the same way. I would look at those types of, that might be a model that you look at and see how they do. And they do a really good job of, in this case, charging the realtor to be able to put them out there so that they get the lead to be able to sell the house. You guys, in essence, could play that same kind of brokerage in between there using mobile and delivering that. So anyway, and I'll be more than happy. We can. That's something we could help you with. If you load our SDK and you say, how do I do all this stuff? That's what Millennial does very, very well. So yeah, and we're right. We're right next door here. Yeah. Good. Other questions? How am I doing on time? I didn't even see how we're.
We have like 9 more minutes.
I feel like I haven't helped you at all, and I
That's
don't
okay.
and I don't
I'm
like
kind
that.
of the black sheep anyway, so.
Really, and that's okay. So I mean, if something.
I just have a really niche like B2B product.
Okay.
This is probably not.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully I've stimulated just how put aside all the advertising stuff, but like maybe the mobile piece, So I think you almost have to have a mobile app these days, no matter really, if you think about even non-mobile or tech-oriented companies, they need to have a form of mobile presence.
Even like the websites and stuff, they all have the mobile app eventually. It's
Yeah.
something that, they, end up doing.
Yeah. Well, if you think about, the last thing I'll leave you with is whether it's advertising. I mean, advertising is the reason why everybody's showing this crazy trajectory, 15 billion by, next 2 years, it's because it really hasn't broken open quite yet. It just hasn't broken up. And the thing is, there's so many businesses and people that are doing business that don't know how to use it, or they don't even realize that it's not even so much that they're building an asset. Like you said, you have a niche B2B business. I guarantee you, if you dissect that all out, people haven't realized that they have to be on a mobile device to do something, and it may be just the utility of what you give them. And I think once you have a relatively large audience of that, advertising is probably, like, think about it, how else can you make money in the application economy right now? Right now, it's either I get you to pay for the app, you do the advertising model, which is kind of giving an app away for free, and then they have what's called like an in-app purchase environment where it's just like more for the gaming world of I can buy lives for a game and Candy Crush Saga, more candy thing. But, so you can do all of that. That's really the three ways to make money, unless you're providing something that is more of an enterprise solution that you're charging differently, different business model. But in mobile, you think about a lot of businesses that have started out as being, one way, and they look at a broader view of how your product or service works. And so I would just say, like anything else, just think mobile, not necessarily advertising, and then it may come full circle for you.
Does Millennial generate all of its own statistics and information, or does it license data sets from other places?
Yeah, I would say that we have been what we call a first-party data asset. So we've collected all of and warehoused all of our own data. But what we've done of late is we've been partnering with folks like BlueKai, if you're familiar in the online environment, where people have third-party data and they want to share it with us so we can cross-reference to make our profiles and our audiences that much stronger and more relevant. We've started to do that as we've grown to a certain point now and matured enough where we are getting a ton of data in, and there's other companies out there that might have something a little bit different for us to cross-reference. It makes sense for us to overlay that
Yeah, I was
into it.
noticing like a lot of this stuff revolved around like the profiles that you had been building for the last 7 years, you were saying.
Yeah.
And there's probably, as you get bigger, more niches that you can go into.
We have like 150 audiences that could even be broken into sub-audiences, and that's what it is. It's like saying I want the horror movie enthusiast, or I want the auto intender that's male who's 18 to 34 years of age, that is a sports enthusiast who travels frequency. I mean, you can kind of get to the subsets of the audiences that we have. Obviously, as you do that, it kind of sometimes it defeats your reach purposes, but we're so scaled now. We have over 400 million unique users, so there's a lot of way to slice and dice to get to those.
And that's what I was thinking, like, I guess my original thought and question was, like, let's say I had a very specific but very detailed understanding of a niche, like construction companies,
Yeah.
or even subcontractors to construction companies, and they buy a lot of materials.
I'm telling you now, Home Depot and Lowe's would love to get the content that you're going to amass here in the audience.
And not necessarily advertising inside of my application,
Mhm.
but using the data.
The data.
And that's what I was kind of wondering. Like,
We're a little bit farther behind. And I say we, the industry is farther behind than taking kind of raw, I'll say raw data, but it's coming in. That data, though, in an advertising model, so that I can go ahead and show a Home Depot ad to you, is easier to be done to use the data that way, as opposed to just giving me the raw data and me just crashing up against mine and that's like doing it. And largely, more so because of the business model is just not, I don't know if like, what mobile hasn't fully proved out yet is that much data, because I already have a lot of data. Like adding that little cherry on top, is that going to, is it going to help me get the next dollar of revenue? And I think that's, and it will I think it'll happen. It's just not there today.
Big enough industries, but yeah, I think it sounds like you guys are going more towards like the Internet of Things and kind of going in that direction, where it's much broader.
Although, yeah, much better than the internet.
Consumer-based
Yeah, the location piece in mobile is just really differentiates. So, anyway, I will sign off for now. Are we good? Are we good? Excellent. Thanks for having me, guys. And we're right here next door. So if there's anything you guys want to come knock on our door and come visit us, we're big fans of ETC and seeing you guys all be super successful. And hopefully we've blazed a few trails to help you guys along. So thanks for having us. Good.